Hare Krishna everyone, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. It is Monday the 15th of June 2020 and I've got that time in the day, almost 5:30, where I'm getting tired. I've been up since quite early today, and instead of typing an update and putting it on this Facebook page, I thought I would just do a live Facebook update because it's easier to talk, for me anyway, this time of day than to type. I wanted to share some really useful information I've just found about Srila Bhakti Kumud Santa Maharaj, who visited London in 1975. Some of you who regularly look at this Facebook page would have read the information I've previously put about this particular Guru Maharaj. I've found him quite fascinating because I didn't even know he existed until maybe 5 weeks ago. So, as many of you would have seen, I've kind of mapped out since 1933 the disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur that came to UK, when they came to the UK, what they did, what their preaching was like, what happened. Many of you will know the most well-known or famous of those disciples, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and many people assumed that A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada was the last of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur's disciples to come to the UK. And then I received this information from India, hot off the press from India, that Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, had a younger godbrother that visited London in 1975. His name was Srila Bhakti Kumud Santa Maharaj. He was a disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, and he didn't leave the planet, so he didn't pass away until 2012. So he was one of the last disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur to pass away. And I'm really grateful to Sundar Gopal Prabhu in Calcutta, who works for the Bhaktivedanta Research Institute, which is an ISKCON initiative, who contacted me a few weeks ago to tell me of this Maharaj's existence and to tell me that he came to London. And we've just had a really interesting Facebook call where he shared some more information with me about that visit, which is what I want to share with you today, because I find the details really interesting. So there's a magazine, a Bengali monthly magazine, produced by the Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math, that's been running since 1961, and it's still running now. And it contains news and information about Gaudiya Vaishnavism in India, and I assume possibly maybe more so in West Bengal, which is the kind of world headquarters of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. And in its edition of the 2nd of October 1975, it talks about the visit of Srila Bhakti Kumud Santa Maharaj to Europe. So of his visit to Europe, he was in Europe for 6 weeks, of which 4 of those weeks were in the UK. He boarded a flight of Syria Arabia Airlines on the 15th of July 1975 for London, and on the 16th of July in 1975 he arrived in London, which happened to be exactly 9 years before I appeared on the planet. And he stayed for 4 weeks in London. All of his board, all of his lodgings were paid for by the director of Bedford College. So the director of Bedford College in London was Dr. P. Bal, and he was of Indian heritage, who wanted to give this sannyasi an opportunity to preach in the UK. As far as I'm aware, this Dr. Bal was not a Gaudiya Vaishnav in the Chaitanya Vaishnav family tree way, but he sponsored the trip of Bhakti Kumud Santa Maharaj and allowed him to come to the UK. So this magazine talks about the trip in 1975, and it talks about how he travelled around the UK and was invited to various events, various talks, various festivals, and he often went to different conferences and gave Hari Katha. He visited Oxford, he visited Cambridge, Stratford, Brighton. There's lots of devotees of Krishna in Brighton, of a variety of different Sanghas. So it's interesting to know this particular Maharaj also went to Brighton. And also, it has been confirmed, and I'm super pleased that it has been confirmed, that this 1975 edition of the magazine, by the way, the magazine is called Chaitanya Bani, before I forget. In the 1975 edition of Chaitanya Bani, in the 2nd of October edition, it does say that this particular Guru Maharaj did visit Bhaktivedanta Manor, which was the information I wanted to know. So this was in July 1975. Srila Bhakti Kumud Santa Maharaj, a non-ISKCON Maharaj, did visit Bhaktivedanta Manor. He was given the opportunity to give class. And in this 2nd of October 1975 article, it talks how Maharaj was really quite overwhelmed by his visit to Bhaktivedanta Manor. He saw all of these English and British white devotees with shaved heads, with tilak, doing the puja seva perfectly, and he was very overwhelmed the fact that they were chanting and dancing and doing kirtan. And the article talks about in 1975 how he was just really quite impressed by that whole experience, and he was amazed by the faith. We don't often use that word often in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. The faith of the ISKCON devotees. So he stayed in England from the 16th of July through to for 4 weeks, and then he went to West Germany. Don't forget, back in the 70s, there was 2 Germanys, East Germany and West Germany. He went to West Germany, and with the help of a translator, he did a bit of preaching around Germany, but he found it difficult because not many people spoke English, or it was quite difficult to preach, you know, if you don't speak the native language. And after that, he then went to Belgium and Holland, and he then returned to Calcutta on the 31st of August, 1975. So there you have it. Srila Bhakti Kumud Santa Maharaj did visit the UK as the 2nd of October 1975 edition of the Chaitanya Bani magazine reports, and he did meet devotees. The article doesn't say that he met A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. I'm assuming, therefore, that he didn't meet him because the article would have said that. Srila Bhakti Kumud Santa Maharaj was the eighth disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to either step foot in or be in the UK. So actually, you know, most devotees will know of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was actually the 7th disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to step foot on British soil or be in Britain. So there were 8 disciples overall. It's taken me almost a year to discover that that this is the situation. So I'm really grateful to Sundar Gopal Das for the video call, for translating, because the magazine is in Bengali. There isn't an English edition, so he was able to read it in Bengali, and my Bengali, as you know, is not very good. He then translated into English, and I was able to take notes. Just a general update on my book and how it's going. So it's almost a year. It was the 16th of July 2019 that I started my research, officially launched my research. And I'm still picking out a few little bits of kind of the history and the diversity of Gaudiya Vaishnavism in the UK that you know, I'm still working on. But I'm looking to start writing my book, probably around August. I'm hoping, if the quarantine rules have been dropped and it's easier to travel, I'm hoping to go to France for a week, where not a lot of people know who I am, to spend some time writing, maybe on a beach or near a beach. That's the plan anyway. I've discovered some various other information about Gaudiya Vaishnavism in the UK that I need to spend some time on looking at this week. One of them in particular is a disciple of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami called Srila Gaura Hari, who is an American disciple of his, who I think runs a Sangha, or is certainly very influential in a Sangha or a mat in Nottingham in the UK. I need to do some research on that and attempt to make contact with him, because it appears that it's a Sangha or it's a mat that it's not kind of under the ISKCON umbrella. So it could be similar to the Hare Krishna Centre in Leicester, which is kind of a standalone independent organisation to promote Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And also, and I'm aware some of you have been quite concerned about the existence of the Vaishnav Agora Sampradaya, and many of you expressed your thoughts on my publication of that information on this Facebook page, the Vaishnava Agora Sampradaya. And just so you're aware, I did become aware of that Sampradaya at least 6 months ago, and it wasn't until recently that I decided to publish that information, because I slept on it for some time and I spoke to a particular devotee involved with that Sampradaya. And my book, this book, for everyone to read, is not, I've tried to be as objective as possible in this research. This book isn't really about my views or what I think. It's about the diversity of Gaudiya Vaishnavism in the UK, a fair objective study that nobody has really ever done before, giving all the different mats and sanghas the same equivalent airtime. You know, I have my own personal views, but I am being objective. My university tutors call it participant observation. You participate in something, but you observe at the same time. What I think I have identified is 3 different, I wouldn't even call them sects, 3 broad branches of the Gaudiya Vaishnav or Gaudiya Vaishnav affiliated family in the UK. And if the Vaishnava Agora Sampradaya is to be on that list, it's in a completely separate list on its own. It's nowhere near necessarily close to the Nityananda Janavi line represented in Glastonbury, not near to the Bhaktivinoda Thakur line, which is represented through ISKCON, the Sri Chaitanya Saraswati, the International Approved Bhakti Yoga Society, the Sri Chaitanya Ashram, the Sri Chaitanya Sangha. So it's completely broadly different because it has an influence of other things. So I'm going to write a bit about that, when I can. So that's it. Information about Srila Bhakti Kumud Santa Maharaj, who visited London on the 16th of July 1975 and spent 4 weeks in the UK, visiting Oxford, Cambridge, Brighton, Stratford, under the sponsorship of Dr. P. Ball, PhD, who was the director of the college, Bedford College, that is. And he did visit Bhaktivedanta Manor and he did give class. Which is, I find, really encouraging because, we're all in this together, and it's good to know that different gurus and different sannyasis from different mats do speak to each other. So thank you very much, everybody. Hare Krishna. And I'm going to be spending time, actually, this week talking with various devotees. And I hope to provide some research updates here on this page. So tomorrow I'm having a wonderful phone conversation with Radha Govinda Prabhu. Radha Govinda Prabhu was a brahmachari at Bhaktivedanta Manor for around 10 years. He's of Indian heritage. He moved to the UK, I think, before he became a brahmachari, and he's now either married or about to be married to a young English woman who is English, and she is converted to Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So I'm going to chat to him tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, I'm talking with the one and the only Mantra Chaitanya Das. Him and his wife, Hemamukhi Devidasi, are disciples of Mahavishnu Swami. And they run various preaching and outreach activities in Canterbury and Margate. I'm going to be chatting to him on Wednesday. So I'm getting around the ISKCON family very slowly. If you haven't been interviewed and you want to be interviewed, please do get in touch. I do not bite. I had a message just briefly before from my own godbrother who runs the Krishna West project in London, and he's happy to be interviewed too. So of course we're getting all the different varieties of ISKCON as well as other mats represented in this research study of the UK. Thank you. Hare Krishna.